I'm going to be starting at the beginning with measure 1 and going to measure 8 to start, okay? With this etude, we need to look at that we're in the key of concert E flat. So I have 3 flats, B flat, E flat, and A flat. B flat is in first. E flat will be in third, and A flat will be in third. I'm in the time signature of 4/4 time as well, which means 4 beats in the measure. The quarter note is going to get the beats, okay? All right, looking at measure 1, I'm just going through and marking some flats real quickly and some positions, okay? The third note in measure 1 is an A flat. It needs to be a third position, get a flat. First note in measure 2 is an A flat. That needs a flat in third position. The last 2 quarter notes are A flats as well. Measure 3, the second note is an E flat, and then there's nothing else we really need to mark in there. In measure 4, the E flat, the second note, is third position. Need to mark that. Measure 5, it has the E flat as the very first note, and then the A flat is going to be the 4th, 8th note. Okay. Measure 6, the second 8th note is the E flat, and then the last 2 quarter notes are A flats as well. Let's see. Measure 7. The 4th 8th note is E flat, and then the second, or I'm sorry, not the second, the 6th 8th note is an A flat. And then finally in measure 8, we have 2 E flats. Make sure you mark them, the first quarter note and the last quarter note in that measure, okay? Now, what I'm going to do, and I'd like you to try and kind of do this on your own time, I'm going to give you a couple examples, okay? But then what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be mainly playing, okay? So in your normal practice time, what I would suggest you do, number 1, is make sure you have a metronome. And I would say for now, I'm going to just do a very easy tempo to start since we're just trying to work on this. I'm going to go at about a 70, okay? It says 100 plus, which is fantastic. If you play it at that speed, that's awesome. You're doing great. But I think we just need to start at about 80, okay? And that is the quarter note. I'm going to put the 8th note beat on though, okay? All right, so I have my metronome set. Now, what I would say you need to do first is start out by saying like the positions, okay? And if you're struggling with the rhythms, there's a rhythm video that also is going to be attached. You need to listen to as well, okay? All right, but this is only going to be for the positions, letter names, and performance, okay? So here's my position, starting in measure 1 plus a note. 1, 2, and ready, go. 1, 4, 3, 1, 1, 1, 1, 3. Okay, that's all I'm doing. Let's do some letter names. And instead of B flat, I'm going to be saying beef, and A flat will be eighth. Okay, it's easier to say at a fast tempo. 1, 2, and letter name, go. Beef, G, A, beef, 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 A. Here's a test note. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was a good start for practicing, okay? Now, what I would say is at any time, you need to make sure that you pause and practice it on your own, okay? Don't just try and do what I'm doing 1 rep of each of these things because I've been playing a long time. I can do that, okay? You need to pause when you need to. Make sure you're working on this, okay? Now, you need to also follow the exact same pattern on each measure like we're doing. You need to letter name, you need to make sure you position, and then you play it. I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to take up too much more of your time on the video. I'm just going to do playing, okay? So this is now measure 2 plus a note. Make sure euphoniums you slur to that G. Trombones you're going to natural slur, which will be a lu tongue. Ta, lu, ta, like that trombones, okay? Here's measure 2 plus a note, test note. And ready. And just make sure you're using a pretty firm articulation on notes that are not slurred, okay? All right, now I'm doing measure 3 plus a note. Test note. Okay, measure 3 plus a note. Ready. Okay, and then in measure 4, euphoniums, you're going to slur all that. So tongue, slur, 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 tongue, slur. And then trombones, you're going to do, let's see, it's going to be tongue slur to E flat, tongue slur to D, tongue slur to C, but then C to B flat is going to be a natural slur. So you're going to think ta, lu, 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 ah. Okay, all right, test note. 1, 2, and ready. Now, if I were you, I would go back and start combining 2 measures at a time. So do measure 1 and measure 2 plus a note, and then just do measure 3 and 4 together. And then you would put the whole thing together. I'm just going to go back and put measures 1 to 4 together, okay? Here we go, measure 1 to 4. Test note. And 2 and. And when you go fast enough, I would recommend trying to make it all the way to that quarter rest in one breath if you can. If not, I see really two good places to breathe, and it's going to be kind of up to you. Possibly right after the very first quarter note A flat in measure 2, or see if you can wait to that quarter note G at the beginning of 3. Those would be pretty good places to breathe. Don't ever breathe after eighth notes because they're just way too short to breathe on, okay? All right, this is measure 5 plus a note. And again, right now, if you need to pause anywhere, make sure you're pausing. Or please make sure, since I'm just playing, you practice letter naming and position. Make sure you follow the routine. 5 plus a note. Test note. And 2 and breathe. Measure 6 plus a note. And I'm sorry. E flat to F is going to be a tongue slur for the trombone in measure 5, what I just did, and then a normal slur for the euphoniums. Okay, please make sure you're doing that. Okay. All right, measure 6 plus a note. D to E flat will be a tongue slur in the trombone and normal slur for the euphoniums. Here we go. Test note. 1, 2. Measure 6. Breathe. Okay, and then here's measure 7 plus a note. Now look through this. G to B flat is going to be a tongue slur trombones, normal slur for the euphoniums. F to A flat in measure 7, that's going to be a natural slur. Okay, so ta-ah or ta-ah. And then for the beginning of measure 7 trombones, it would be ta-lu. Okay, all right, so here's measure 7 plus a note. Ready? Test note. 1, 2, and breathe. Okay, pretty good. And then measure 8 is going to sound like this. Now, once again, you should be stopping anytime you need to, and you also need to understand that you can start putting these measures together, 2s and 4s and like that, okay? It's like you need to be practicing 5 and 6 together on your own, 7 and 8 together. I'm going to practice 5 right now to 8 together, okay? 1, 2, ready. What I would recommend is breathing at the end of measure 6 until you get fast enough to where you can try and make it all the way to that quarter rest in measure 8, okay? Please also make sure that as you get more comfortable with this, you're trying to take it faster, getting closer to that performance tempo. Now, what I'm going to do for the last thing for today is I'm going to record from 1 to 8 for you, okay? Test note. 1 and 2 and... And if you noticed, I had a little bit of dynamic contrast. The cool part about this is it's very, very blank as regards to dynamics, and so you can kind of just add in what you want. If I were you, I would just do like a crescendo to the end of 2 and then decrescendo until the next quarter rest. And you can kind of do the same thing from 5 to 8 as well. Crescendo through 5 through 6, meaning getting louder, and then decrescendo getting softer from 7 through 8, okay? All right, I wish you luck on your preparation this week.